All right, testing. Part 390. So part B, general requirements and information, state and local effects on subject otherwise specifically and indicate the subchapter B of the chapter is not intended to preclude the safe subdivision thereof, the establishing and enforcing state law, local laws, relating to safety compliance with it would not prevent the full compliance of, with the release regulation persons thereto. 390.11, the motor carrier, the requiring the observance of the driver's regulation, wherein in part 390, part 325, subchapter of the subchapter 2, leave the prescribed the driver's prohibition imposed upon the driver that shall leave the duty of the motor carrier that require the observance such duty prohibition from the motor carrier the driver the likelihood likewise to be bound. 390.13, aiding and abetting violations. No person shall aid and abet and encourage and require the motor carrier to employ to violate the rules of the chapter. 390.15, the system of the investigation and special studies. Each motor carrier for the interstate module equipment, the provider must do the following: make all the records and information pertaining to the assistant available to the authorized representative of the special agent of the federal motor carrier, if the administration and authorized of the state local enforcement agency, representative of the authorized of the third-party representative with which at the time of the request of the investigation may specify that given the authorized representative of all the responsible for the system of the investigation of any of the accident, including involving full true the correct response to any of the question inquired for all the accident incurred of the April 29th, 2003. Motor carriers must maintain the accident register for the 3 years after the date of the age for the accident of occurred on prior to April 29th, 2003. Motor carriers must maintain the accident register for the period of 1 year after the date of each of the accident with the information placed within the accident register that must contain and lead to the following: a list of the accident defined in 395 of the chapter containing each of the accident, date of the accident, the state of the town most near of the where of the accident occurred, the state of the where of the accident occurred, the day of the name of the injuries, number of injuries, number of the fatality of the hazard material, the other fuel spill, but the fuel tanks of the motor vehicle involved with the accident was released. Copy of all accident relief required for the state and the other governmental entities insurers. 390.16, reserve 390.17, additional equipment, the accessory, nothing in subchapter shall be construed with the prohibited additional equipment, the accessory for the inconsistent with the prohibited subchapter provided the such equipment and accessory does not accrue for the safety operation of commercial motor vehicles with which they are used. 390.19, motor carrier with identification of the report with the certain Mexico domicile of the motor carrier is applicable to the motorist domicile of the motor carrier, the representing of the authority provided with the transportation, property, passenger, interstate commerce between Mexico and the point of the United States beyond the municipality, commercial zone along the United States of the Mexico intermodule border must file with the MCS 150 Federal Motor Carriers for the administration following schedule. Each motor carrier must file an appropriate form of the paragraph A of the section following the time the B for it begins the operation every 24 months after the following. And the next last digit of the U.S. dot number is I of the motor carrier that shall fail with the update of every odd number to calendar year. And next to the last digit of the U.S. dot number is in every motor carrier that shall file with the updated every number of the calendar. If the person failed to comply with the biannual update with the information pursuant to the paragraph B2 of this section, the subject of the penalties is prescribed in the Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 521B22 and the Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 14901A. That is appropriate deactivation of the U.S. dot number available to form with the form MCS 150. Complete instruction available to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration website. From all Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration Services Division offices nationwide, call 1-800-832-5660. Where to file the form MCS 150 must be filed with the FMSCAA Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration Office. The registration and safety information form may be filed with electronically according to the instruction on the agency website. That may be sent to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration off the registration and safety information, MCS RS 1200 New Jersey Avenue, South Washington, D.C. Special instruction on motor carrier that should be some of the form of the MCS 150 for the application of the operating authority. The appropriate address the reference for the form that may be submitted electronically, mail separately to the address the mentioned for the paragraph D of the section only for the legal name of the single the tray for the name of the motor carrier that may be used the form MCS 150. A motor carrier fails to file with the form the MCS 150 is furnished with the misleading information makes false statements used the form upon the form subject to the penalties prescribed in Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 521B24B. Motor carrier fails to update the form of the MCS 150 required for the paragraph B of this will have the U.S. dot number deactivated, will have prohibited conducting transportation. Upon receipt of the process of the form that is described in paragraph A of the section, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration will issue the motor carrier intermodule equipment, provide the identification number of the U.S. dot number in Mexico Code domicile of the motor carrier that secretly provides transportation, property, passenger, interstate commerce between Mexico and points of the United States beyond the municipality commercial zone but along the United States-Mexico intermodule international border must be the pre-authorization safety audit under 365-507. Subchapter agency will not be the dot number of the expiration protest period provided within 316-115 shall after the protest they receive the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration denies rejects the protest. The motor carrier must display the U.S. dot number of each of the self-propelled and commercial motor vehicles defined in 395 along with the additional information required in 390.21. 390.19 motor carrier with identification reports of a certain Mexico domicile of motor carriers applicable to each motor carrier with the intermodal equipment that provided the most file with the MCS 150 and the MCS 150B, MCS and 150C Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, U.S., Canada, Mexico, and the North America and Denmark with the motor carrier with the conducting operation of the interstate with commerce must file with the motor carrier identification report. The MCS 150 motor carrier conducting and operating with the interstate with the commerce with the requiring safety permit with the Title 49 Part 385 Subpart E. You must file with the computer mine motor carrier identification report with the hazmat material HM permit with the application form MCS 150B. Intermodule equipment that provided with the intermodule equipment the transportation interstate with the commerce with the intermodule equipment the provider identification report with the form MCS 150C. Following schedule each of the motor intermodule equipment that provided must file with the appropriate under the paragraph A of the section the following times before it begins operation every 24 months after the following schedule. If next to the last digit of the U.S. dot number is of the motor carrier with the intermodule equipment that provided with the shell file with the update every odd number of the calendar year with the next last digit of the U.S. dot number, even the motor carrier with the intermodule equipment that provided with the shell file with the update with the even the number of the calendar, a person has failed to complete with a manual update with the information pursuant to the paragraph B2 of the section and subject with the penalties prescribed, Title 40 United Code 521 B2 B2, Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 14901 A with the appropriate deactivated with the U.S. dot number, the available to form with the form is described in the paragraph A of the section, completed instruction available to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration website with the keyword MCS 150, MCS 150B, MCS 150C for all Federal Motor Carrier Service Centers in the Division Office nationwide. Call 1-800-832-5660. Where to file? The required form of the paragraph A of the section must be filed with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Officer's Registration Safety Information Form to file with electronically according to the instruction of the agency website that may be sent to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration off the Registration Safety Information, 1200 New Jersey Avenue, Southeast Washington, D.C. Special instruction for hire motor vehicles submitted with the form MCS 150, MCS 150B, along application operating authority with the appropriate address reference on the form, may submit electronically mail separate with the address is mentioned in paragraph D of this section. Only legal name of the single trade number, name of the motor carrier for the intermodal equipment that provided may be used on the forms under paragraph A. This section form MCS 150, MCS 150B, and MCS 150C. Motor carrier intermodal equipment that provided fails to file with the form with the paragraph A of this section furnishes the misleading information, false statement that upon with the form, the subject of the penalties prescribed in Title 49 U.S. Standard Code 521 B2B. Upon receipt of the process of the form, the paragraph A of the section Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration will issue the motor carrier intermodal equipment that provided the identification number U.S. dot number. Following application must be additional with the pre-authorization safety out of the described below with the being issued the U.S. dot number. The Mexico domicile promoter requires here to provide the transportation property passenger interstate with the commerce between the Mexico point of the United States beyond the municipality, the commercial zone along the United States of Mexico with the national border pass the pre-authorization safety audit under 365-507T with the subchapter agency will not issue the U.S. dot number until the expiration protest period. Provide 365-115 subchapter of the protest is received after the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration denies or rejects the protest. A non-North American domicile motor carrier with the sequence that provides the transportation property for the passenger interstate with the commerce of the United States that must pass the pre-authorization safety audit of the 385-607TC of the subchapter agency will not issue the U.S. dot number to the expiration of the protest period provided with the 365-115 subchapter of the protest received. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration denies rejects the protest. The motor carrier that must display the number of each of the self-propelled commercial motor vehicles defined in 395T along with the additional information required with the 390-21T. Intermodal equipment to provide with the identified with each of the unit with the interchange of intermodal equipment assigned with the U.S. dot number, motor carrier of the register, vehicle state with the participate in the performance and registration and information system management and authorized under the section 4004 transportation equipment that use Act of the 21st Century Public Law 105-178 with the 112 with the statute 107 and exempt of the requirements of the section provided the file required information from the appropriate state of the offices. Alright, 390.21 marking with the self-propelled commercial motor vehicle intermodal equipment. The general self-propelled commercial motor vehicle subchapter B with the must be marked with the specified paragraph of the B, C, and D with the section each for the intermodal equipment. The interchange office with the interchange of the motor carrier intermodal equipment that provide the subject with the subchapter B of the chapter must be marked with the specified paragraph B of the G of the section nature of the mark, and the marking must display the following information: legal name of the single trade with the name of the motor carrier with the operating self-propelled commercial motor vehicle list with the MCSA 1 or the URSO online of the motor carrier with the identification of the for a report with the subchapter made with the accordance with 39201 and 39019 as appropriate. The identification number issued from the Federal Motor Carrier with the motor carrier with the intermodal equipment that provide with the pre-received the letters US dot with the name of the person of the operating carrier with the appear with the commercial motor vehicle, the name of the operating carrier must be filed with the information required with the paragraph B1 of 2 of this section and proceed with the boards that are operated otherwise identified with the information was displayed with the vehicle, not inconsistent with the information required within the paragraph size, shape, location, color, and marking. The marking must appear on the both sides of the self-propelled commercial motor vehicle, being letters with the contrast of the color and background of which the letters are placed. They be readily legible during the daily hours for the distance of 550 feet. While the commercial motor vehicle is stationary, be kept and maintained with the manner of the retained of the legibility required for the paragraph C3. Construction, durability, marking, and paint with the commercial motor vehicle may consist of the remove the device. The device is meet with the identification and legal legibility requirements of paragraph C of the section with the marking of the maintained as required in C4 of the section. Rented property carrying commercial motor vehicle, the motor carrying operating self-propelled property with the carrying commercial motor vehicle under the rental agreement having the term not to exceed 30 calendar days to meet with the requirements of this section. Commercial motor vehicle marked in accordance with the provision paragraph B and D of this section. The commercial motor vehicle mark set forth in paragraph E2 and through 1 through 4 of this section. Legal name of the single train with the leaser, which is displayed in accordance with the paragraph C and D with the section lesser of the identification number, the perceived the U.S. dot number displayed of the accordance with the paragraph C and D with the section rental agreement with an enter within the leaser, the lesser of the renting of the motor carrier. The conspicuous contained with the following information: the name, the complete physical address, the principal place of business for the renting of the motor carrier, with the identification number, the issue for the renting motor carrier, the U.S. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, proceed with the letter of the U.S. dot, and the motor carrier that has them in, issue with the number, then lieu with the identification number, the required of the paragraph, the following may be shown in the rental agreement. Information must indicate whether the motor carrier that is engaged with the interstate commercial information of which indicate the renting of the motor carrier of the transportation has material and rented commercial motor vehicle. The incentive of the lesser of the leaser of the operator of the federal, state, of the local law enforcement official, and the national, while the provider identify with the customer of the operator of the rental commercial vehicle. Rental agreement to enter within the lesser of the renting of the motor carrier this carrier of the rental of the commercial motor vehicle during the full time of the rental of the agreement, the leasing of the regulations, Title 49, Part 376. Information should include with the leasing document, lease of the interchange passenger commercial motor vehicle, the motor carrier operating the leased interchange passenger carrying commercial motor vehicle that meets the requirements of this section. Passenger carrying commercial motor vehicle marked in conform with the provision of the paragraph B and through D with the section, except for the marking of the required only with the right of the curbside of the vehicle. The passenger carrying commercial motor vehicle marked in a single placard at the time of the other device with the fix of the right of the curb of the side of the vehicle with the near the front of the passenger door. Placard time of the device must display with the legal name of the single trade name of the motor carrier, the operating the commercial motor vehicle, the motor carrier's U.S. dot number to proceed with the words operated by. Driveway surface of the driveway, surface of the removal of the drive may be affixed on the both side of the rear of the single driven vehicle. The combination of the driveway operation of the device may be affixed to the both side of any of the unit of the rear of the last unit. The removal of the device must display with the legal name, single trade name of the motor carrier, the motor carrier, the U.S. dot number. Intermodule equipment requirements market of the intermodule equipment may apply to each for the intermodule equipment provided as defined in 395 the interchange with the interchange intermodule equipment the motor carrier. Each unit intermodule interchange offered of the interchange with the motor carrier with the intermodule equipment provided subject to Subchapter B with identified with the intermodule equipment that provided the intermodule equipment provided with the identified with the legal name and the single train name of the identification number to issue with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration receive the U.S. dot. The intermodule equipment identified that's filed with using any one of the following methods. The identification marking must be appear on the curbside of the item of the equipment. It must be in the letters of the contract sharply colored with the background in which of the letters of the place of the letters must be readily legible during the daylight hours of the distance of 50 feet while the commercial motor vehicle stationary be kept with the maintained with the manner of the retained legibility. The identification marking must be appear on the left label place on the curb of the side of the item of the equipment with the label to be read visibly with the legible. The inspection office with the official during the daylight hour of the vehicle stationary with the label must be coupled with the contrast sharply with the background with the place in the letters must also contrast sharp with the color of the background of the label. The label must kept and maintained with the manner of the restraint and legibility. The U.S. dot number of the intermodule equipment that provided the appear with the interchange with the agreement with the clearly identifiable the inspection office official with the interchange agreement that must be included with the additional information that identifies specifically the intermodule equipment such as the vehicle identification number, then 4 characters standard carry alpha code or 6-digit unique identifier. The identification marking must be shown in the document place on the weather-tight compartment affixed with the freight of the item of the intermodule equipment. The color of the letters document with the blank contrast with the sharply colored with the background of the document. The document must include additional information that identifies specific item of the intermodule equipment such as the VIN and 4-character SCAC code 6-digit unique and identify the U.S. dot number of the intermodule equipment provided with the maintained with the database is available to read with the real-time internet telephonic access database must identify the name of the U.S. dot number of the intermodule equipment provided reasonable for the intermodule equipment responsible for the inquiry. It includes the SCAC plus trailing digits license plate number stated with the license VIN and item of the intermodule of equipment. Alright, other reading only acts if the inquire of the individual terms of the intermodule equipment without requiring in advance the use of the registration password user fees. The 390.21T market of the self-propelled commercial motor vehicle intermodule equipment generally have self-propelled commercial motor vehicle subchapter the market for the specified of the paragraph B and C with the D with the section each for the intermodule equipment interchange with the officer for the interchange with the motor gear with the intermodule when provided subject for the subchapter may be marketed in accordance with the paragraph G. Nature of the marking, the display of the following information: legal, the name of the single tray of the motor carrier with their operation self-propelled commercial motor vehicle list for the motor carrier identification report, MCUS 150, is submitted in accordance with 390-19T. Notification number to issue the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Motor Carrier with the intermodule equipment that provide with the can proceed with the letters US dot and the name of the person operating carrier with the appearance of the commercial motor vehicle. Name of the operating carrier must be filed with the information required by the paragraph B1 and 2 of the section preceding the words operated by the identify the information displayed of the vehicle, the inconsistent with the information required by the paragraph B, the size and shape of the location of the color of the marking appear on the both sides of the self-propelled commercial motor vehicle, both in the contrast sharply with the background with the letters being placed, be readily legible during the day with the distance of 50 feet while the commercial motor vehicle is stationary, be kept maintained with the manner of the retained legibility required with the C3 of the section, construction durability make the behavior of the commercial motor vehicle is the removal of the device made the identification of the legibility requirement of the paragraph C of the section such for the marking maintained with the is required with the paragraph C4 of the section, rented property carrying with the commercial motor vehicle motor carrier with the operating self-propelled property with the carrying commercial motor vehicle under rental agreement having term not exceeding excessive of 330 calendar days meet the requirements of the section 1 commercial motor vehicle marked in accordance with the provision paragraph B of the 3D of this section. 2 the commercial motor vehicle set forth in paragraph E2 through E4 of the section. Legal name is single trade name of the lesser displayed in accordance with the paragraph C and D with the section. The lesser identification number of the receiver, the U.S. dot number displayed in accordance with the paragraph C and D with the section. Rental agreement that entered within the lesser of the renting of the motor carrier conspicuous containing the following information: the name of the complete physical address of the principal of the business of the renting of the motor carrier. The identification number issued for the renting of the motor carrier for the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration proceed with the letter of the U.S. dot of the motor carrier being issued for the number in lieu of the identification number required of the paragraph E23B with the following information will be shown in the rental agreement. The information which indicates the motor carrier is engaged in the interstate commerce. Information which indicates whether reporting the renting of the motor carrier with the transportation hazard material than renting of the commercial motor vehicle. The sentence of the leaser operative of the federal, state, and local law enforcement official of the nationwide with the provided identity of the customer operative of the rental of the commercial motor vehicle. The rental agreement entered with the lesser of the renting of the motor carrier in the commercial motor vehicle full-term rental agreement is licensing the lesser leasing regulations Title 49 Part 376 of the information should be included with the leasing documents. And I'm going to pause it right there. Testing. Okay. Alright, the passenger commercial motor vehicle with the mark with a single black car with the time and the other affixed to the right of the curb sign of the vehicle. Near the front end of the passenger of the black card sign with the device for the made display with the legal name of the single trade name of the motor carrier, the operating commercial motor vehicle with the carrier, the U.S. dot number, the perceived the words operated by. Our driveway service of the driveway, they serve the removal of the devices made with the affixed on both sides of the rear of the facing of the driver of the vehicle, the combination of the driveway operations device method affixed on both sides of any one of the unit. In the rear of the last unit, the removal of the device from the display with the legal name of the single driver, name of the motor carrier, the U.S. dot number, intermodule equipment, the requirement of the parking, the intermodule apply with the intermodule equipment, provided with the defined in 395 to the interchange officer for the interchange equipment, to the motor carrier, each unit, the intermodule equipment, with the interchange of the officer for the interchange of the motor carrier, with the intermodule equipment, that provide the subject of the subchapter, identify the intermodule equipment provider, intermodule equipment, provided identified with the legal with the name and the single trade number, the identification number that they listed issued in the Federal Motor Carriers if they received the letter of the U.S. dot intermodule equipment identified files using any one of the following method of identification marking of the pier of the curbside with the light of the item of the equipment of the letters with the contrast sharply with the background letters with the plaque plates, and the letters should be readily legible during daylight with a distance of 50 feet below the commercial motor vehicle stationary be kept maintained with the manner of the retained legibility. The identification marking must be labeled the place on the curbside item of the equipment that must be readily visible legally inspection official during the daylight hour of the vehicle stationary with the label being cut must be colored that contrast sharply with the background with the place and letters. They may also contrast sharply with the color of the background on the label. Label must be kept and maintained with the manner of the retained legibility. The U.S. dot number, the intermodule equipment provided that must appear with the intermodule agreement, but they can clearly identify with the inspection official of the interchange agreement. That must include the additional information identified specific item in the intermodule equipment, such as vehicle identification number, the 4 carrier standard carrier alpha code, the 6-digit unique identifying code number, identification marking with the shown with the document place and weather tight compartment affixed with the frame on the item of the intermodule equipment, the color letters of the U of the document contrast with the sharp color of the background of the document. The document must include the additional information identified specifically item in the intermodule equipment, your standard carrier alpha code and 6-digit unique identifying user number to the interchange module equipment provided the detailed maintained database available to real-time internet telephonic access the database. Identify the name of the US number of the intermodule equipment. Provide reasonable the intermodule equipment responsible for the inquiry. Include these the standard carrier alpha code plus the trailing digits, license plate number, save the license VIN number item of the intermodule equipment. Offer reading only access of the inquired individual items of the intermodule equipment without requiring advanced user registration password user fees. Alright, 390.23, relief of the regulation, part 390 through 399, chapter that shall not apply with any motor carrier, the driving operative with commercial motor vehicle to provide emergency relief during the emergency subject to the following limit is the regional emergency, the exception for the provided with the paragraph A1 through the section effective only when A, an emergency has declared with the President of the United States, the Governor, State of the authorized representative have the authority to declare an emergency, the Federal Motor Carrier Administration failed to field administrator declare with the regional emergency, the exception for the justified the exemption with the 390, 395, chapter, exempt with the provided with the paragraph the A1, 2, the B with the section 390.25, but the exemption is not given the duration. Motor carrier the director acts assistant provide the emergency relief of 30 days after the day of the initial direct declaration. Emergency exemption for the regulation federal motor carrier of the field administrator which is less. And governor declared the emergency call for the shortage of the residential heating fuel with the name heating of the oil, natural gas, or propane. Subsequently determined at the end of the 30-day period immediately following the declaration of the emergency shortage has not ended the extent of the declaration of the emergency up to 2 additional 30-day periods. Exemption will remain the effect of the end of each of the additional period of each of the 60-day period for the motor carrier of the driver, providing residential heating and the geographical area of the geographical declaration of the emergency. Local emergency of the exemption provided in the paragraph A2 of the section effective only when the emergency has been declared by the federal, state, local, the government official will have the authority to declare emergency. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, Field Administrator declare the local emergency and the justify the exemption of the 3090 through the 3099 exemption shall not exceed the duration motor carrier with the driver direct assistance providing emergency relief for the 5 days for the date of the initial declaration emergency exemption for the regulation Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, Field Administrator, whichever the left tow truck responding to the emergency the exemption provided the paragraph A3 with the section effective only with the request that has been made federal, state, local police officers with the local tow trucks to move the record to disable the motor vehicles. Alright, the exemption should not exceed the length of the motor carrier of the driver, the direct assistance to provide emergency relief to 24 hours at the time of the initial request of assistance by federal, state, and local police officer, whichever is left upon termination of the direct assistance of the regional local emergency relief after the motor carrier of the driver, so for the requirements of Part 390 through 399, chapter the following exemption, the driver may return empty with the motor carrier of the terminal with the driver for normal work reporting locating without the complying with the Part 390 through 399, chapter however the driver can inform of the motor carrier that he or she will immediately rest of the permit of the 10 consecutive duty before the consecutive hours off duty before the driver required for the return of the such terminal location have returned to the terminal or other location. Driver must relieve all duty responsibility. Sometimes this computer has a mind its own. Having returned to the terminal, other location, the driver must relieve all duty responsibility of the direct assistant, the term of the driver of the commercial motor vehicle, the interstate commerce, the transport cargo, not destined for their emergency relief effort with the motor carrier, for the dispatch for the server, the driver of the commercial motor vehicle in another location being operation commerce. When driver has been relieved of all duty, possible responsibility, termination, direct assistance, and regional local emergency relief, the no more carrier shall permit the require any of the driver, either the driver, and results as the driver in commerce, until the driver has met the requirements of 395.3a and c and 395a of this chapter. 390.25 extension of the relief of the regulation emergency. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration will exceed the 30-day time period of the exemption contained with the 390.23a1, but not more than 5-day period contained with 390.23a2 for the 24-hour period contained with 390.23a3. Any motor carrier driver that with the extent of the 30-day limit with the obtained with the approval of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, Field Administrator of the region of the which the motor carrier principal of the business located at the expiration of the 30-day period, the motor carrier of the driver shall give the detail of the additional shall relief the request of the Federal Motor Carrier for the field administration shall determine if the relief is necessary, taking into account both severity of the ongoing emergency nature of the relief service to be provided. But the carrier, driver of the field, motor carrier, with the administrator and field administrator approve the extension of the exemption. He or she establishes the new time limit placed on the motor carrier driver. Any other restrictions deemed necessary. Or 39029, location of the record of the document, motor carrier with the multiple office of the terminals, maintain the record of the documentation, record of the subchapter, the principal play with the business, regional office of the direct work of the reporting location, unless otherwise specified. The subchapter or record documents required with the subchapter are maintained with the regional office driven working reporting location shall be made available to inspection upon the request of the special agent authorized. Representing the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration and the motor carrier's principal place for the business. The other locations specified by the agent of the representative within 48 hours of the request for the made with the Saturday and Sunday federal holidays exclude the computation 48-hour period. 3931 copy of the records of the document. All recommended documents required for the maintained under this subchapter must be reserved in the original form of the period specified unless the report of the document so suitably photographed with the microfilm retained with the lieu of the original record of the required retention period. The acceptable lieu of the original records of the photographed copy of the records must meet the following minimum requirements. Photographed copy should be no less readably accessible. The original record of the document with the normally filed with the preserved would be suitable with the means of the facilities would be able to locate and identify the reproduced photographic copies. Any significant character or features attributed to the original record document with the photograph in black and white will not be preserved shall be clearly indicated before the photograph is made. With the reverse side of the printed form, the not copy of the nothing has been made added to the printed matter common with all such form and identified specimens of each of the forms shall be on the film reference. Or the film used for photographing copies of the permanent record tried with all respect to the minimum specification of the National Bureau of Standards. All processes recommended of the manufacturer shall be observed to protect the deterioration of the accidental destruction. Each roll of film shall include the microfilm certificate stating that the photographs are a direct facsimile of the reproduction of the original record. The certificate shall be executed the person having the personal knowledge of the material covered thereby. All record documents and they require to maintain the arm of the subchapter destroyed after they have been suitably photographed of the preservation exemption. All records of those requiring signature may be maintained through the use of the computer technology provided with the motor carrier can produce the use of upon demand and computer print out required data. Or 39033 commercial motor vehicles used for the purpose of the defined. When a commercial motor vehicle uses one type of the performance function normally performed by the commercial motor vehicle or another type of the requirements of the subpart chapter part 325 subchapter A shall apply the commercial motor vehicle is operated for the same manner through the commercial motor vehicle way actually the commercial motor vehicle of the later type. For example, if the commercial motor vehicle other than a bus is used to perform the functions normally performed by the bus regulation pertaining the bus is the transportation of the passenger shall apply with the commercial motor vehicle. 39035 the certificate that reports on the records of the class falsification reproduction and alteration. No matter carried in its agent office representing the employee shall make it a covenant to make of fraudulent intentional false statement of any application certificate report with the records required in part 325 subchapter A of the subchapter fraudulent intentional false error and entry with the application certificate of the report record required with the completed retain comply any requirement of the subchapter of the part 325 subchapter A of the repairing production of the fraudulent with the purpose of the application certificate of the report with the record required with the subchapter part 325 subchapter A. 39036 the hazard driver the prohibited of the hazard of the harassment defined with the use of the section harassment means of the action of the motor carrier the tour of the driver employed with the motor carrier with included the independent contractor with the course of the operation of the commercial vehicle on behalf of the motor carrier involved in the use of the information available to the motor carrier that has an ELD defined in 395.2 of the chapter through the technology of the combination with the non-separable of the ELD the motor carrier the new should have known what resulted with the driver violating 392.3 with the part 395 subchapter. Prohibition against harassment. No motor carrier may harass the driver. Nothing in the paragraph B1 of the section construed to prevent the motor carrier from using the technology allowed with the subchapter monitor or productivity of the driver provided that such monitor does not resolve the harassment. Complaint process. Driver then believe that he or she is subject to the harassment. Motor carrier may file with a written complaint with the 386.12b of the subchapter. 390.37 violation penalty. Any person who violates the rules set forth in part 325 subchapter A may be subject to penalties or civil or criminal penalties. 390.38 exemption of the pipeline welding trucks. Federal requirements of pipeline welding trucks defined in paragraph B section, including individuals operating within such a vehicle. Employers such individual exemption of the file with any requirement relating to the registration of the motor carrier, including the requirement of the option obtained and displaying with the Department of Transportation number to Title 49 CFR Part 365 and 390 requirements relating to the driver the qualifications Title 49 Part 391 and requirement relating to the driver of a commercial motor vehicle Title 49 CFR 392 any requirement relating to parts successful inspection, repair, maintenance, commercial motor part with the Title 49 CFR CFR 393 and 396. Any requirements relating to hours service of the driver that include the maximum driving duty time found in Title 49 and 395. Your definition of pipeline welding truck means the motor vehicle that is traveling in the state with the weather of the vehicle to register with another state, the owner by a welder, pick up the style of the truck is equipped with a welding rig, issue for the construction of the maintenance of pipelines, has the gross vehicle weight with a combination weighing weight of 15,000 pounds or less. Alright, 390.39 exemption covered the farm vehicle with the federal requirement to cover the farm vehicle to define 395 that include the individual operating with the vehicle to exempt the following any requirements relating to the commercial driver license, Title 49, Part 383, controlled substance, alcohol, use for testing, Title 49, 382, for any requirement to Title 49, Part 391, Subpart E, physical qualification examination, any requirement to Title 49 CFR, Part 395, hours of service of the driver, any requirement to Title 49 CFR, Part 396, inspection, repair, and maintenance, state requirements in general, federal transportation funding to the state may be not terminated, limited, otherwise inferior with the result of the state exemption covered with the farm vehicle, including individual operating of the vehicle from the requirement prescribed in paragraph A of the section any other minimum standard of the provided state relating operating of the vehicle. Exemption paragraph B of this section does not apply with respect to the covered vehicle. The transportation has material that requires a black guard. Other exemption and exemption of the exemption paragraph A and the B of the section in addition with the not in play with the agricultural exemption of the exemption 383, 3D1, 380E, 5, 383 F, 391 2, A, 391 2B and C, 391 67, 391 1E1, 395 E11, 395 E12, 395 1, 395 1, 391 5. 1K, chapter motor carrier, the driver that may utilize the combination of the exemption provided with the comply with the fuel fully, separate exemption. So Part C requirements of information air module equipment provided for the motor carrier for the operating air module equipment. Testing.